Now, for more on this, or rather more on the internal issues plaguing the newly formed MK party, we're joined by political analyst and governance expert Sandile Swana. Good evening, Mr. Swana, and thank you very much for your time. So even though the IEC has since settled the matter on former President Zuma being the leader that they recognize on their documents, it seems as though a big storm is brewing in the MK party. Your reaction to the latest developments?
Thank you so much. And I think we must start by commending the IEC for sticking to the election timetable and also for responding speedily to the many spurious issues that are out of scope that are brought before the IEC. Coming to the internal squabbles of the MK party, I think we also need to understand the political culture of South Africa. You'll remember that even in 2021, the Action SA party still expelled people in an election year and has been expelling people over time. The EFF, which is another younger party, also expelled the Mutamas of this world, the Mandisa Mashechos and other prominent leaders. So this idea of expelling people is part and parcel of our political culture. And I don't think we should be overly excited about it, but we should focus on the 29th of May when the will of the voters of South Africa will be known.
Now, the party has maintained that rogue elements have infiltrated their party, and some say Mr. Khumalo's conduct of late lends credence to that assertion, while others say Mr. Khumalo, in this instance, is well within his rights to fight for a party he co-founded. Your take on just his right, perhaps, to fight to remain in the political party?
Yes, you see, the process of enforcing your rights within an organization is embedded within the constitutional processes stipulated in the constitution of that organization. So he needs to handle that matter within the constitution of the party and not drag other institutions, including the IEC and any other institution. He must handle the matter with his own comrades and resolve those matters with his own comrades. That is what is needed here.
Now that you touch on the Constitution, therein lies the problem. Now, on trying to understand why Mr. Khumalo would be emboldened to write such a letter after being expelled, I earlier spoke to the MK spokesperson, Tlamulo Ndlela, to just take us through the disciplinary process which led to the expulsion. He said that they currently do not have a constitution. They're in the process of drafting one, so the decision to expel was taken after evidence was put before the national leadership. So the national leadership as a collective is currently taking all decisions until they have a constitution. So where does this place this whole matter?
I think that we need to be careful of political statements that are not immediately connected to the truth. Because when I read the letter that is allegedly written by Khumalo to the IEC, he said the constitution is annexed here to the constitution of the party. So unless he pick it up in the street, or unless we're saying the IEC accepts registration of parties without founding documents, I find it far-fetched that Ndlela would make such a statement.
But he did, and he stated that they allude to constitutions, but as it stands, they do not have one. So it means at this point that Mr. Khumalo has drafted or been part of drafting some sort of a constitution that they do not subscribe to. Because he did state in that conversation that many allude to some sort of a constitution, but as it stands, we do not have one. Meaning they, as a party, want to somehow distance themselves from the constitution that Mr. Khumalo annexed.
Let me then take you to another discussion. You see, the problem that we had, if you and I were to be a little bit sincere, here you are dealing with people who come from the ANC tradition of the past 34 years, since 1990, where in the process of time they've learned to live outside of the law. They've learned to ignore the constitution of the Republic of South Africa. They've learned to run the ANC without the constitution. So it wouldn't surprise me that there are many versions of the constitution of the of the MK party, including the one that Khumalo has and which has been lodged with the IEC, I wouldn't be even interested in listening to Lela saying that there is no constitution there. It would be that they don't accept the constitution that is in place. That is so that they have a constitution that they make up from time to time in order to expel this one or to expel the other.
Which is quite worrying, honestly, Mr. Swana. But you still say with all these internal squabbles, nevertheless, much shouldn't be made of this, that a number of political parties, as you say, even before elections, have had such problems. As you mentioned, the EFF, Action SA, many people would even remember the famous Ramakatsa matter. So quite a lot or a number of political parties have dealt with leadership struggles before elections. So you're thinking that this won't impact them in any way?
It will not impact them in any way. I have done a study from 1910 until today of political splits and coalitions and so on. It's endemic to the South African culture to split in parties, to form coalitions, to fight and to split and regroup. Even the Afrikaners, including the apartheid Afrikaners, have been doing that. The DA has been doing that. You must not think that people like Herman Mashaba come out of nothing. Musi Maimane comes out of nothing. IG comes out of nothing. These are splits from all these parties. And some of them, when they don't have a problem for the next 6 months, they will say they look holier than Jesus. But they are part of the splits and the rejoining and whatever themselves.
Mr. Swana, thank you very much for your insights this evening. That's governance and political analyst Sandile Swana speaking to us.